Good evening to you, my friends. It is a pleasure to come and to talk with you. And perhaps the first thing we should say to you is an apology for the length of the reading, but you know that word responsibility should not have so many letters. And then it would have been shorter, yes. But you know, there should have been something in there for everyone to take from those words. And that is good, because you are all here, you know, to walk your own spiritual pathway in life. And some, you know, do not even consider anything about the spiritual realms of life, because they are totally immersed or enmeshed within the materialism of your world. And that does not make them to be not the right type of people in your world, but they are on their own mission, you see. And they do not realize until they return to our world that they should have been looking at all things and not just the physical, material vibration of life. And so they begin to progress when they have returned to us on our side, the other side of life, as you sometimes call it. But you know, if you can begin to open your mind to the understanding that you are a spiritual being, then it is much easier when you make your transition, because you have already begun to investigate the world unseen that is the realm of the spirit. And so what can we say? It is better to have perhaps a foot in both camps, and then you can begin your search and your journey, piecing everything together like a big jigsaw. Because you know, if you only function on the physical level, then I'm afraid life will not make much sense to you. Because you can see that, you know, it is very fragile, your life, your physical life. Because you know that you were born into the physical body, and that you will, at some time in your time scale of years, you will pass away, and your physical body will go back to the earth. And then, what then, is what you should be asking yourself. And it is your responsibility, of course, to live your life how you will. We do not come forward to tell you what to do. And by the same token, we do not control you. You have a thinking mind all of your own. Each one of you has that, you know. And you make your decisions accordingly. And sometimes you do hesitate because you wonder if you are doing the right or the wrong thing. And sometimes you go by what you would term your conscience. How do you know that is not your spirit within, telling you, advising you, giving you a little bit of encouragement to work as you should with your own spirit? That is the real person that you are. And it is never too late, you know, for any of you to take responsibility for your life and your living and what you are doing with the gifts that you have. Because there is not one of you here that does not have some sort of ability that can be used to help A, yourself, and B, other people. But you know, you do have to look at yourselves so that you can become open and be channels for the spirit world to use. How many times have you lent a listening ear or a helping hand to somebody else? And that has made you feel that whatever you did was worthwhile, because the person that you have given that aid to has felt better and has changed a little bit in their understanding of you. Because sometimes people do things with the wrong motivation, and that is when things start to get a little bit difficult for the individual that is doing acts without the right motivation behind it. Because you can control what other people are doing by your own actions and your own mind. And yet you are not here to control anyone else, just as we are not coming forward to control you in any way. You have to take on responsibility for yourself. And that is what we need you to know. Because then, when you understand that, you have freedom. And once you have freedom, as that reading suggested, then your world will transform, and it will be a much different place to what you see today. Because there are always those that are wanting power over others. And this is what we come to say to you, that you cannot control one and all. And you see, you have to be honest with yourselves. It is good that you question this, that, and the other. And sometimes, you get answers to these questions. But sometimes you do not realize that the answer has been given, because it is subtle in the way that we are able to influence you as a human being. Because how many of you have said, "Oh, that's not from the spirit world, that is just my overactive imagination." But we work mind to mind. Medium here has said that she works in the trance state and allows us to speak. But we are not fully in control. We have to pass these words through her logical thinking mind, you see. And so it is all about cooperation. It's all about being sensible. It's all about taking responsibility. And that is so important to one and all. It's so easy to blame another for your transgressions, you see. And yet, when you move to our world, you will be judge and jury of your life, not anybody from the spirit world. And you will see that you have to work in making amends for those decisions that were not altogether the right decisions. But it does not matter, because every time, you are moving forward in your life, every time that you do this, that, or the other. And so we want to give you encouragement to be who you truly are. You can all wear different clothes and give different impressions by how you dress. And yet, we in the spirit world can see past the confines of the physical. And we know who you are, what you are, and more importantly, what you are trying to achieve. And many blessings are bestowed upon your world, and yet you totally ignore some of these. You have moaned, have you not, about the terrible weather conditions over your winter time. And, still, nature is a kingdom all of its own, that has to have these ups and downs, that has to change because of the circumstances that are about. There are too many things that are beyond your control as being a human individual, you see. And so you do have the blessings of nature, because there will always be an equilibrium that is achieved, although sometimes it seems that that is unachievable. And so things change from day to day, and no doubt as you move into summer you will be complaining of the heat and even maybe the dryness, you see, because it doesn't suit one and all. But the promptings of the Spirit suits every individual, because you progress at your own rate. It does not matter what you think you believe, but we tell to you the truth, that you cannot die. You do have an eternity with which to progress and perfect your own spirituality. And so that is good news, you see, because there are many in your world that are in constant despair when they lose one loved one after another. And how many times does it happen within a family that they all pop off together? And so you go from one funeral to the next, to the next, to the next. And so then you begin to lose your faith and your understanding of what it means when you reach that point that you call death. But really, it is rebirth of the spirit back into the spiritual realms of light. And so then you can see a bigger picture of all that is happening to your friends and family. And that is why we do endeavor from time to time to prove through mediumship survival of the spirit. But even that, you are given information and you go away and make all sorts of excuses as to why it is not 101% correct. Yes, you do it all the time, my friends. You question, and we come forward and we try to help you, to give you that sense that all is not lost when you lose somebody at that point that you call death. And so if we could eradicate that idea that death is the end, then we would be working well, and your churches would be full and not empty. They'd all come to those things that are sensational, but they do not come to listen to the understanding that we have in the spirit world, which is slightly different to your understanding, because we want to talk about life continuing and you want to talk about death as something finished, you see. And so we want to move you all forward. And that is what we are interested in doing, to help you see that the strife in your life is but lessons that you have to deal with. And the more that you have to deal with, then the faster that you grow in your understanding of yourself, when you realize that you are a spirit and not just one dimension as a physical body. So, that long word responsibility. We hope that you have taken something away with you that has answered a question or two in your mind, so that you can stick with the truth. That you cannot die, you can only move on. And that we in the spirit world enjoy being able to communicate with you. So many of you have had what you would term psychic experiences, and yet you brush them aside and forget all about them because you want to be what you would consider to be normal. That is why it is good to get you together so that you can see the blessings that you have and look on the positive side rather than the negative side of life. And so we want you to go out of here feeling energized by the power of your own spirit, by the power that you have set in, because we have to work with energy, you see. And each one of you produces energy, even if you are sat there listening to every word that is uttered. But we do indeed thank you for your attention and say to you that you are able at all times to link with the spirit world, and that when you do, you are the ones that are inviting us to aid you, to assist you. We do not control, my friends, but we must say to you that you are in control of you. And as soon as you take that on board, you will begin to see, to expand your mind, to expand your awareness, so that you know that there is more to life than your three-dimensional world. A lot to take on board, we know. But you can read this and you can read that. There is much to digest from books. And yet, it is up to you what you want to accept and what you want to reject. And that is fine, because we want you to move forward in great strides, with great confidence, so that you can face the rigors of your earthly life with a great deal of courage, fortitude, and strength. And so we say to you, my friends, take on that responsibility of your investigation of life and enjoy. And so we say good evening and God bless.